Welcome to the very first episode of the Vactor-Verse podcast. Thank you very much. If you've been with me ever since the We Love Comics days, actually even going back to Vactor Loves Comics, then We Love Comics, then Comic Book Kaiju, thank you very much for sticking with me. If you're new, this is a great jumping on point. This is a number one issue of the Vactor-Verse podcast. But on today's episode, I have a perfect guest because he just went through a very similar rebranding, I should say. So without further ado, I have comic nerd, sneaker fan, Milestone Super-Fan BJ Kicks, who has a fantastic YouTube page called Comics Are Dope. So he's going to tell us all about that. BJ, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm very pleased that you're here today because your channel is one that I like what you're doing on the short side. I like what you're doing on the live side. And I'm kind of reaching for those heights as well. I'm trying to get my channel the same way. So I'd like, if you could, first, to tell me what moment did you get that realization of, oh, comics are dope? Like, what in your comic book history, what is your origin story for comic books?
Sure. So I've told the story a couple times and I try to make it a little bit shorter each time. The short version is, I grew up, I'm from North Carolina, but my grandparents lived in New York when I was growing up. So we go to New York for the summers and we didn't have like cable TV or whatever, but my uncle would bring comic books to the house. And so that was kind of our entertainment then. And back then, I wasn't even really reading the comics. It was just, I was just taking some computer paper and trying to draw whatever I saw. So we fight over like Batman and Spider-Man and X-Men or whatever, but I didn't really absorb it like that. And it was just kind of a thing I did at my grandmother's house. So what's funny is like, if people talk about picking up comics on the newsstand and stuff like that, I never saw a comic outside of New York. Like, I never saw comics here. So as for all I knew, like, they didn't really exist anywhere else. Anyway, fast forward about 30 years, my oldest daughter, she'll be 13 this year, which is crazy. But anyway, I don't know what it was. I saw, like, she's really into art is the point. Like, she'll paint, she'll sculpt, like anything. She draws all of it. And I saw an advertisement for a free comic book day event. And they were like, they were going to have artists and painters and all that stuff there. So I was like, all right, well, I'll take her to this. She'll probably like that. That'll be cool for her. And so I took her to the store that is now my LCS, Ultimate Comics Rally. And they opened up another storefront and they had like back issues for $1 and all this stuff. So I bought a few things that just looked like the stuff I had when I was a kid, grabbed her some stuff, and of course got the free comic book day issues. And then I just kind of kept following their Facebook page, and they were doing these live shows and stuff. And I won a copy of House of X #1, like one of the ratio variants. And so when I went to pick up my winnings, I also bought like a regular cover so I could read it. And I read House of X #1 and I was like, yo, like, this is dope. And so the outing was supposed to be for my daughter, but I'm the one that ended up with the weekly comic.
Nice. That's crazy. That's actually a very unique origin, because a lot of people I talk to, it's like, oh, it was the 90s X-Men or it was Spider-Man comics growing up. My parents handed them to me. That's kind of my specific origin stories. My dad was super into comics, and he kind of passed down that love of superheroes really to me. And then I kind of took the ball from there. But yeah, that's crazy for a local comic book shop to be kind of the inspiration. I love that. And the fact that you're kind of an artistic family, you had that love of drawing and then pass it down to your daughter. So that's kind of crazy. Comic book art, in general, is just kind of something that is unique to the medium and to the format. And that's what I'm always trying to tell people. Like, it's got the pros of movies and of novels and of artwork. Like, it's got everything thrown into it, and it just comes together to form like this perfect medium. And I'm just a huge story guy in general. So anytime you're going to tell me a good story, I'm already there. So for comic books, it was always one that I was like, oh shoot, what is going on with these characters? What's going on with this artwork? So that's good to hear. That's crazy. So you recently went through kind of a rebranding on your YouTube page. Can you go through what was the mindset that you had when you went through that, and then kind of your experience of rebranding and transitioning?
Sure. So, starting the channel, I started the channel back during the pandemic, so 2020. And this actually, it's not my first YouTube channel. So before this, I have a music marketing channel. So I teach musicians how to sell their music online.
Nice.
But during the pandemic, I was about to write or launch a new book and like this whole like coaching program and all this different stuff. And, you know, the live music industry basically stopped. And so I was like, all right, well, I don't want to, you know, try to sell this $300 course to people with like no money. Like, this is weird.
Right.
And so I was like, well, in the meantime, so I don't like start getting nervous on camera or get out of practice, I'll just start like a fun channel and just talk about whatever.
Nice.
And so I started the channel just using my regular online screen name, which is BJ Kicks. It's been my nickname for like ever. So I started the channel, and it was, when I started it, you go back to the first video, it was like, oh, I'm going to talk about comics and I'll probably like make some beats. Like this will be like my hobby channel. And, yeah, none of the other things ended up happening on the channel. I just talking about comics, and that was it. And then my second daughter was born. She was born premature, and kind of like as a compulsion, I just started making videos like every day to keep my mind off her like hospital situation or whatever. And so anyway, throwing up all that content, doing all that, like it just became very ingrained. Like, okay, this is a channel about comic books, and I was buying books and doing the hauls and unboxings and all that stuff. And over time, last year, it was really just the rebrand it's not so much that the channel is different. It's just that I felt like it needed to be refocused. Because I felt like sometime last year, like life circumstances changed. I got a different job. Life just got a lot busier. But at the same time, stuff that I was doing to like pay for comics, like just wasn't, I'd have the time to do that. And so I had kind of created this sort of vacuum for myself where the only way to keep the channel going is to keep buying stuff. Right. But, you know, and I just didn't want it to be that type of thing. And so then I was like, okay, well, what do I bring to comics outside of just encouraging people to buy it, right? Or buying it because they saw me buy it. And really, I just wanted it to be a celebration of comics. And so,
yes,
you know, last year I started the website Comics Are Dope. I started it as a blog, and it was just kind of like I had the BJ Kicks brand on YouTube, and then the Comics Are Dope was like, oh, this is where I'll be a serious comic journalist. And I promptly did nothing with that website. And so I just decided last year, you know what, like going into 2023, we're just going to make the full switch. And so Comics Are Dope is now like a sort of family of brands. So we've got the blog, we've got the YouTube channel, and eventually we'll have a podcast as well.
Oh, nice. Nice.
But yeah, for me, it was just, I wanted to take the focus off of myself and not be so much of a personality online, but more of like a host or like a tour guide. Like, let me show you these comic book stories, and maybe you'll fall in love like I did, but not because I'm like some caricature and it's like, oh yeah, look, I spent $1 million.
Right. Yeah. That's great. That's fantastic. And also one of the things that I always try when I'm looking for people to bring on is someone who is positive and trying to push the medium forward, trying to spread it to as many people as possible. So you're definitely fall in that camp. I love anyone who is spreading that message of comics are great, and here's the stuff that I'm loving at the moment, rather than, all right, here's everything I hate about comics, here's everything that sucks. Right. So your positivity kind of comes through in your videos. So that's fantastic. I'm glad that you're doing that. So speaking of positivity, I was looking at your Miles Morales review that you just put out. Now I can't remember. It's either Spider-Man : Miles Morales or Miles Morales : Spider-Man. I can't remember.
Miles Morales : Spider-Man.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
How they're building it. Yeah.
That actually has been one of my favorite comics that's been coming out recently. Issue 3 just came out. So, is there anything that in February 2023, you're saying, okay, I love this. Like, whether it's Marvel, DC, Image, whatever it is, what's kind of some of your favorite titles that you're reading right now?
Yeah, the stuff that really gets me like, all right, well, I got to read this as soon as I grab it. I'm loving Flash right now. I'm loving Miles Morales Spider-Man, which is a surprise. Honestly, like, I wasn't a big fan of the last run. Like, I jumped in during the Clone Saga. Around
okay. Gotcha.
I was I jumped right back out.
But it really, man, they dropped the ball because it started fantastic. I was loving it at the beginning, but once they started that Clone Saga, kind of went downhill.
Oh man, so I just jumped in at the wrong point. So, but yeah, Flash. I'm loving Flash.
Nice.
I'm looking around because I tend to keep things around me that I like. Darkwing.
So good.
I loved it. But that's pretty much it. I'm enjoying Chip Zdarsky's Batman. I feel like it kind of took a step down with the last issue, but I mean, it's Chip Zdarsky. He's great.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
So I think right off the bat, like those are probably the ones. Like, I'm still enjoying. Oh yeah, I can't not mention Immortal X-Men and X-Men Red. Like those are like the Twin Towers over at Marvel for me.
Yeah. Like, so have you kind of stayed after House of X? Have you kind of stayed with the X-Men all the way through since then?
Yeah, pretty much. Like kind of begrudgingly at times, right? But yeah, I've been enjoying it since like Jerry Duggan's X-Men. I've been enjoying like well enough. I'm not a big fan of the way they keep interrupting it with events. Like, I think Judgment Day might have meant more to me if I had been reading Eternals, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
But X-Men Red and Immortal X-Men, like those two titles are just great. And even leading into Sins of Sinister, I'm not a big fan of Sinister's voice. Like it's sort of it's the voice of the character. I'm not a huge fan of like just the way he acts, his antics or whatever. I feel like Sins of Sinister is probably going to be too much Sinister for me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I've been enjoying it up until this point, and in my review, I think I talked about it last week. I just like that Sins of Sinister feels organic, and it doesn't feel like, okay, let's forget about everything that happened before and do something else. Like Sins of Sinister feels like it's kind of been bubbling under from House of X, Powers of 10, even though we know, in real world stuff has been all kinds of shuffled around.
Right. Yeah, that's cool, man. I've really been enjoying a lot of the X books. I'm forever behind on X-Men, so this is, multi-year saga for me where I'm like, I got to get caught up. And then I'll get these spurts of, okay, I can read 20 issues at a time. Yeah, I'm loving it. And then I get behind again. So I'm currently in one of my behind phases, but that's definitely X-Men Red is one that I've been hearing a lot of good things about. So I'm going to try to catch up on that. I've been really trying to follow Amazing Spider-Man. The Dark Web stuff has kind of soured me a little bit. Like it's kind of thrown me off, and they keep rotating the art teams, and I'm trying to like, hey, let's get something consistent here so we can get, an amazing title that's coming out every month that I'm really enjoying and I'm really into. So that's kind of been my struggle currently, but I'm loving Chip Zdarsky too, man. Everything he's doing, from his independent stuff to his Marvel stuff, his DC stuff. And I just like him in general. He's like a funny guy. His Substack is funny. Like all of his videos that he puts out on YouTube are funny. So anything Chip Zdarsky, I'm pretty much in the bag for already. I don't even have to know what it is. It's like, all right, chips on it. I'm gonna take it. Look, I'm gonna buy that. So yeah.
Did you read Public Domain yet?
I'm halfway caught up on that. That's another one of those that I'm behind on, but the half that I've read, I've loved. Like I'm really into that one.
That feels like the most Chip book.
Yes.
That I've read.
Yes.
Like that's the book that feels like his Substack or him like talking about interviews. And I really enjoyed it. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yes. I can't wait. That's one. And then another indie kind of feeling book is 8 Billion Genies. That's one that Charles Soule, he's another like Chip Zdarsky where I'm like, all right, anytime I see his name, I'm going to follow it. And the premise for that 8 Billion Genies is like crazy, that every soul in the world has a genie and they all get one wish. And so it's like immediately half the population their wish just kills them. Like what they just wish some stupid thing and it just ends up killing them immediately. Wow. And it's following them year by year. Like, all right, this population is slowly declining. So it's almost like an apocalyptic story, but not, zombie outbreak or anything, but everybody gets a wish and then it just turns bad. Like everybody's wishes turn into the apocalypse. So that's one that I'm really enjoying. And I hope I think Amazon picked it up. I hope the TV show kind of does it justice.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely digging that one. Are you big into kind of like the Marvel DC movies or TV shows? Is there anything that's currently, I know you just did the DC wrap up of the Gods and Monsters announcement. Right. Is there anything that's really catching your attention? I know Wakanda Forever just came out on Disney Plus.
Right. I loved Wakanda Forever. I'm kind of soured on Marvel. Like once they started making everything a TV show, I was just like,
right.
For me, a part of the reason I love comics so much is like, it's a 10-minute time investment. You're fully engrossed. It's a great story. And you come back for more next week. Right. And with movies, it's like an appointment. My wife and I, before the pandemic, we'd be at the movie theater like every other weekend.
Yes.
But it's
same.
Like, the kids are with a babysitter or something and we're in front of the screen and we're engaged. Right.
Yes.
But if I'm at home and the TV's on, I'm probably in this office, like halfway working, halfway watching.
Right.
Watching the kids or halfway. Yeah. So it's like TV. I don't really get, like TV doesn't work for me as much.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see the Batman Brave and the Bold. Like I'm excited to see Damian Wayne on the big screen. I'm excited to see a new take on Superman. Superman's a character that I was not big on as a young person. But like the last like 6 months or so, I've been reading a bunch of like, classic Superman stories. Nice. I'm like, I get it. I like this guy. So I'm curious to see.
And you did a Superman video recently.
Yeah. A video about why I was wrong about Superman.
Nice.
but yeah, so now that I'm a Superman fan, I'd like to see Superman on the big screen. I'm curious to see, especially if they're adapting All-Star Superman, like how that's going to go.
Yeah. That's one that I'm really looking forward to. And I'm coming from it as a Superman super fan, going back to my mom, showed me pictures. Oh, here's you at 5 years old and I got a Superman shirt on and I got Superman birthday cake and whatever. So I've been with Superman, pretty much my whole life in the background. And it's interesting when I talk to either like the younger generation or like someone like yourself, where it wasn't necessarily like Superman was in the forefront all the time. In 2023, what does Superman mean to this current generation? Because, back from the 40s to the 50s to the 60s, it's like, okay, truth, justice, the American way represents the ideals of America. And kind of similar to Captain America, but as the times have changed, he's had to evolve and kind of, what does that much power mean in the current age? And that was another thing, is a lot of people were like, oh, he's too powerful. Like he's overpowered. He's not interesting. But I've always found that character, especially his morality, the morality of Superman, just like, okay, he does the right thing. This guy knows what the best thing is. He's like the best of us, of humanity, even though he's an alien.
Right.
So I really liked that video that you did. And I'm the same way. That legacy, I'm very interested, because James Gunn was like, I saw him in an interview. It means something to him that Superman is a character that he can kind of work with. And I love that he's able to take the lesser known characters like Guardians of the Galaxy, like Suicide Squad, and kind of bring them up and bring them to the forefront. So Superman is a character that he's been there as far as popularity, but I think in recent years it's kind of dipped, and Batman is at the top of the mantle on DC now. So it'll be interesting to see what he does with Superman. And like you said, Damian, I can't wait. That's my favorite Robin. He has been ever since he was introduced. And I introduced him to my wife, and she loved him right off the bat. So that that character means something to me, because anytime I introduce my wife to something and she latches onto it, it just kind of makes me like it even more. It's something that we can kind of share together. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to Brave and the Bold. So besides the Chip run, have you gotten into any deep Batman runs?
Yeah, so I read my first omnibus was actually Grant Morrison volume 1.
Yes.
So I read the full Batman and Son all the way up through Batman R.I.P.
Yes.
Loved that.
Yes.
And then I'm about halfway through the second volume. So the Dick Grayson and Damian Batman and Robin run. So yeah, Damian's my favorite Robin as well.
Yes.
And I loved that. Other than that, I haven't gotten into a ton of runs. I've read a lot of individual stories, right? So, you run through the classics, Long Halloween, the Court of Owls, The Killing Joke, like a lot of 4 to 6 issue stories. Hush was like the first one I read. But I think once I'm done with the Morrison run, which I got like 2 years worth of Batman there, I'm going to go in and finish up Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. Cause I've read most of their stories individually, but never just reading it all the way through.
Gotcha.
And then I want to get into Tynus Detective Comics. I've read bits and pieces of just about everything, but I want to start doing a run a year.
Okay.
I tried that with X-Men last year. I was like, I'm gonna read all of Chris Claremont's X-Men. I was like, nah, I can't do it.
Yeah, dang. Yeah, that's I highly recommend if someone has not recommended to you the Scott Snyder New 52 run that he had. I thought that was one of the highlights of the New 52. And then more recently, the Tom King Batman run. I really love that, the War of Jokes and Riddles, where the Joker and the Riddler were going, all the villains took a side, and it was all right, you on the Joker side, you on the Riddler side. And then that's where all the Batman Catwoman stuff recently, where they got married, or they were going to get married. So the Tom King stuff was, I thought, fantastic, and he's going to be a big part of this new James Gunn stuff with with
the Woman of Tomorrow.
Yeah. Have you read that?
No, I haven't read it yet.
That is a fantastic. That was one of my favorite books of last year. 100%. It's like True Grit. I don't know if you ever saw that. True Grit in space. So that 100%. And the artwork, oh man, is fantastic on that. That is one of my favorite books of last year. So that's another one. Definitely
get into it then.
Yeah, check out on that one. And I'm gonna continue to follow Comics Are Dope and see what you're getting into, because like I said, I love your spirit and I love the way that you approach comics and the way that you tell it on your channel. So I'm just 100%. I want everyone out there, if you're watching this right now, if you're a fan of my channel, you are definitely going to love BJ's channel. So definitely check out Comics Are Dope. I'm going to have all of the links down below in the show notes. And would you say, BJ, that YouTube is your main focus? Like, have you dabbled into TikTok or into Instagram Reels or anything like that?
Yeah, so I keep an Instagram profile just because, I run Facebook ads for clients and stuff. TikTok I can't get into. I'm too old for TikTok in my head, even if I'm not old.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm on Instagram at BJ Kicks. I'm on Twitter as well, because everybody in comics is on Twitter, so I got to be there too. And then YouTube.com/ or I guess now you got the little at. So we're at Comics Are Dope.
Yeah.
If you type in YouTube / BJ Kicks, I'll show up there too. So
nice. Excellent. Well, BJ, thank you very much for taking the time out of your day. You're very generous with your time. And like I said, keep up all the great work. I'm loving everything you're doing on Comics Are Dope. And you're showing everyone out there why comics are dope. So 100%, everyone go give him a like, give him a subscribe, follow him in all those places, because BJ loves comics and you should too.
Good too.